Childhood trauma isn't only what was done to us. It is also about the things that should have happened, but did not. This includes the comfort, the understanding, and the feeling that our emotions were valid. Emotional neglect is often quiet and hard to see. It can happen with a parent who is too stressed to notice, or in a home where feelings were seen as too much. In these places, you might have learned early on to hide your needs so you would not be a trouble to others. When that occurs, love starts to feel like something you must earn rather than something you simply receive. We learn to watch every small sign, to work harder for tiny bits of affection, and to take charge of how others feel just to stay safe. These habits did not form because we were weak. They were smart, ways to handle a world that did not feel secure. As children, we adapted the best we could by trying to please, performing for others, hiding away, or trying to fix the people who hurt us. Those methods kept us going. They helped us survive emotionally and perhaps even physically. But as adults, these habits start to cause problems. The same instincts that once guarded us now push us toward what feels familiar instead of what is actually good for us. We mistake the stress of not knowing what comes next for excitement. We confuse a deep longing with love because that is how love first felt to us, always just out of reach. So when we find ourselves stuck in the same painful cycles, it is not a failure. It is our nervous system repeating an old story, trying once more to earn the love it never got to rest in. The work now, and the path to healing, is not to judge ourselves for these habits, but to understand them. We begin by telling ourselves kindly, "Of course you did what you had to do to survive, and now together we can learn a new way to love, one that does not require us to give up our peace." Her name is Alina. She is 33 with kind eyes. She is the type of person who remembers what everyone wants in their coffee, but forgets her own limits. Every relationship starts the same way. She meets a man who seems calm, quiet, and stable. He sends just enough messages to make her feel wanted, but never enough to make her feel secure. She tells herself he is just busy and that he is different from the men before him. She fills the silence with her own kindness, making excuses for every delay or missed call. On their third date, he says he is not good with emotional things. She laughs it off and acts like it does not hurt. A small tightness forms in her stomach, but she covers it with hope. She has learned to ignore those feelings. They always appear right before she starts to chase him. She sends long, caring messages. He replies with only a simple emoji. She stays up late wondering what she did wrong, writing and then deleting texts. At work, she is calm and capable. No one would guess she is falling apart inside. When friends ask about him, she says things are going well. Even as she feels the gap between them growing, the nights feel very long. She plays back their last talk, looking for clues like a detective trying to solve a crime that keeps happening over and over. Deep down, she knows this story is coming to an end. Still, she cannot stop hoping he will finally notice her and truly see her. Once, after another fight about her needing too much, she sat on her bed in the dark and asked herself, "Why do I keep doing this?" Somewhere inside, an older voice answered, feeling tired and quiet, "Because this is what love felt like." When she was small, her father worked late hours. Her mother was often worried and busy. Alina learned early to be easy to care for, to sense moods before anyone spoke, and to smile even when she was let down. When love arrived in short bursts of praise or a gentle word, she held onto them tightly, mistaking a lack of love for something of high value. Now as an adult, her body still sees that distance as home. The space feels familiar. The uncertainty keeps her on edge and alert. Safety, on the other hand, feels strange and almost dull. When someone kind and steady arrives, she tells herself there is no spark. It is not that she does not want love, it is that her nervous system does not yet know how to relax in it. 3 truths live inside Alina's story. First, when we grow up with emotional distance, our bodies learn to think love means chasing. We chase because long ago, chasing was the only way to stay connected. Second, we accept inconsistency as normal. The back and forth of attention feels like home, so quiet peace feels wrong. Third, when our emotions were not seen as children, we learned to earn attention instead of expecting it for free. We mistake being needed for being loved. But there is a quiet change waiting to happen the moment we stop asking others to finish the story we started in childhood and start listening to what our own heart is trying to tell us. Healing does not mean making different choices overnight. It begins with noticing, with stopping at the edge of that old habit and saying, I know this feeling, and this time I do not have to follow it. And that is where Alina's story and ours begins to change. Evan was the kind of person everyone liked. He was reliable, put together, and always busy. He had a good job, arrived early, and never missed a deadline. His phone was always in his hand. He dealt with emails, messages, and endless scrolling between meetings. He told himself he was just staying updated and being productive. Nights were quieter, but not peaceful. He had a few drinks to relax. He kept a show playing in the background. His body was there, but his mind was somewhere else, hovering just above his own life. If you met him, you would think he had everything under control. In many ways, he did. But inside, everything buzzed with a low, constant pain he could not name. He did not get angry or break down. He just kept moving, always looking forward and never looking inward. The moment the noise stopped, the moment the phone battery died or the drink was finished, something heavy pressed against his chest. He would feel a flash of fear, like he might fall into his own thoughts and never get back out. So, he reached again for the screen, the bottle, or the next task, doing anything to stay ahead of the silence. It had not started this way. As a child, Evan learned early that his feelings made people uncomfortable. When he cried, he was told to be tough. When he was scared, he was told not to be dramatic. So, he built a wall of being capable. Success became his shield, and being busy was his proof of worth. He found that if he was successful, people smiled at him. If he was helpful, they stayed nearby. When he felt lonely, the best way to get away from it was to stay busy. Over time, that constant motion became a way to feel nothing. What we often call a bad habit or addiction can look like hard work or ambition. But underneath, it is often a way to comfort oneself and manage a pain that feels too big to handle. The question is not why the habit exists, but why the pain is there. What was so hard to handle that being busy felt safer than being still? What part of him learned that feeling nothing was the only way to survive feeling too much? When we look at ourselves this way, kindness replaces shame. The scrolling, the drinking, and the overworking are not failures of strength. They are ways the body tries to protect us from feelings we were never taught how to hold. They worked once and helped us get through the day, but now they keep us away from the life we are meant to live. Evan hasn't solved everything yet. He has just started to notice the patterns. He tries to sit for a few seconds longer before grabbing his phone and tries to breathe when the empty feeling comes up. Healing for him looks like being curious instead of trying to control everything. It is learning to ask softer questions like, what is the feeling I am trying to run away from? And what might happen if I stop running for a moment and just feel it? Think of your body as a house with a smoke alarm. The alarm's job is to keep you safe and tell you when there is danger. But sometimes after too many fires, it becomes too sensitive. It goes off even when you just burn a piece of toast. That happens to us too. When we have lived through times of fear or neglect, our bodies remember. Even when the mind forgets the details, the nervous system keeps acting as if the danger is still there. This is what we call hidden memory. These are memories written not in words, but in feelings, reactions, and emotions. Maybe you do not remember every fight from when you were young, but your stomach still gets tight when someone speaks loudly. You might tell yourself you are over it, but your body keeps looking for trouble. It is not broken. It is doing what it learned to do to keep you alive. The mind and body are not separate things. They are one conversation happening in two different ways. The mind uses words and logic. The body speaks through tight muscles, heart, rate, and breath. When you feel worried before a text arrives or freeze during an argument, that is not you being dramatic. It is your smoke alarm going off. It remembers a time when silence meant you were being rejected or when a fight felt unsafe. The alarm does not know you are older now or that you have more help. It just recognizes an old signal and reacts right away. One small daily example is waiting for someone to text you back. Minutes go by. Your chest feels tight. Your thoughts start to spin. You wonder what you said wrong or if they are mad. You might think you are overreacting, but your body is reacting exactly as it was trained to do. Perhaps once as a child you waited for attention that never came. That waiting became linked to fear. So now every pause feels like a threat. Seeing it this way does not take away the pain, but it makes it make sense. There is hope, because what the body learned, it can also unlearn. The alarm does not have to stay this sensitive forever. Each time we notice it going off and tell ourselves, I am safe right now, we begin to train it again. We can teach the body new ways to feel safe through breathing, slowing down, and being kind to ourselves. Healing is not about turning off the alarm. It is about helping it learn to trust again. If we give it time, it will. The first step toward change is not to fix anything right away. It is simply to start noticing. Awareness turns what is hidden into something we can work with. You could start a small journal to observe each day without judging yourself. Write down which moments felt stressful, what was happening, and what you felt in your body. You might see patterns like tension during silence or guilt after saying no. Writing helps. You slow things down until you can see the story you have been living. When something upsets you, instead of asking, "What is wrong with me?" try asking gentle questions. Ask what the moment reminds you of or what your body might be trying to protect you from. This kind of questioning helps you move from blaming yourself to understanding yourself. Then try to pause once each day. Feel your feet on the ground. Take one slow breath and look around. Name 3 things you see and 2 sounds you hear. This brings your body back to the present moment. It tells your system that you are here and safe enough for now. Each pause changes the old cycle, one breath at a time. Next, pick one small limit to set this week. Maybe it is not checking messages late at night or saying you will reply later instead of rushing. Limits teach your body that it is okay to have its own space and that safety does not always come from doing what others want. Even one small boundary is a way to heal. Finally, reach out to one safe person. It could be a friend or a professional. Healing happens when we feel safe with others, not when we are alone. Being seen without being judged starts to change the old story that being close to people is dangerous. Each of these steps is important because they build safety from the inside out. Noticing brings clarity. Questions bring kindness. Pausing keeps you steady. Limits bring respect. Connection reminds you that you are not alone. Healing does not start with a huge change. It starts with one small moment where you choose to stay present instead of running away. If this process brings up deep pain, consider talking to a professional. Asking for help is a sign of wisdom, not weakness. Healing was never meant to be done entirely alone. Both stories, the person chasing love and the person hiding in work, are really about the same deep wish. Each began as a child doing their best to survive. We carry that old wisdom into an adult life where it no longer fits. These tools are how we gently bring safety back to a system that forgot what peace feels like. It is like light growing through old roots in dry ground. As we continue this journey, we must realize that the road to change is not a straight line. It is a slow turning of the heart back toward yourself. For a long time, you may have lived like a guest in your own life, always checking the weather of other people's moods before deciding if it was safe to speak. This is the weight of the hidden child within the adult. When we talk about healing, we are really talking about building a bridge between the person you had to be to survive and the person you are actually meant to become. This process requires a special kind of patience because your nervous system cannot be rushed into feeling safe. You cannot demand that your heart open up any more than you can demand a flower to bloom before its time. There is a fourth truth that often goes unspoken. We are often afraid of getting better because the pain is the only thing we have known for so long. For someone like Alina, a healthy, stable partner might actually feel wrong because there is no crisis to solve. For someone like Evan, a quiet weekend might feel like a failure because there is no trophy to win. We must learn to tolerate the discomfort of peace. We have to practice being okay when nothing is wrong. This is perhaps the hardest part of the work. Learning to exist without the adrenaline of a struggle. It feels like learning a brand new language while everyone else is already speaking it fluently. But every time you choose a calm evening over a chaotic argument or a deep breath over a quick distraction, you are teaching your body that the war is finally over. You might wonder what happens next once the patterns are seen. The goal is not to become a perfect person who never feels anxious or never wants to hide. The goal is to become a person who can hold their own hand through those moments. It is moving from "I am broken" to "I am reacting to something old." When you can look at your own fear with curiosity instead of anger, the fear loses its power to run your life. You begin to own your story rather than letting your story own you. You start to see that the love you were chasing out there was actually an invitation to provide that same protection and presence to yourself in here. This is where the real repair lives. It lives in the ordinary moments. It is in the way you talk to yourself when you make a mistake. It is in the way you allow yourself to rest even when the work isn't finished. It is in the choice to stay close to yourself when you feel like disappearing. You are no longer that child waiting for a door to open or a phone to ring. You are the adult who can open the door for yourself. You are the one who can say, "I am here, I am listening, and I am not going anywhere." This is the beginning of a life built on solid ground, where peace is not something you have to buy with your pain, but something that belongs to you by right. As we move further into this journey, we have to look at what happens when we finally stop running. For many of us, the idea of healing sounds like a destination where all the problems disappear. But in reality, healing is more like learning how to sit in a quiet room without needing to bolt for the door. When you have spent years surviving, stillness feels dangerous. It feels like a void that needs to be filled with work or worry or other people's problems. The next part of the process is learning to handle the void and realizing it is actually a space for peace, not a sign of danger. For someone like Alina, this stage means facing the heavy silence that comes when she stops chasing people who don't choose her. It is a lonely stage at first. When she stops sending those long, pleading texts, she is left with her own company. This is where the real work happens. She has to learn that her worth is not a prize to be won by being the most understanding or the most patient person in the room. She has to learn that she is allowed to exist, even when she isn't being useful to someone else. The spark she was looking for was often just the sound of her own anxiety. True connection, she will find, feels much more like a slow, warm exhale. For Evan, the next step is even more physical. It is about learning to feel his own body again. When he puts down the phone or the bottle, he might feel a wave of sadness or a tightness in his throat that has been there for 20 years. Instead of seeing this as a sign that he is failing, he can learn to see it as his body finally feeling safe enough to cry. He starts to realize that being strong doesn't mean feeling nothing. It means being brave enough to feel everything. He finds that when he stops moving so fast, the world doesn't fall apart. In fact, he actually starts to see the people standing right in front of him who have been waiting for him to truly arrive. The bridge between our past and our future is built on how we treat ourselves during these messy middle parts. We often think we need to be hard on ourselves to change, but shame actually keeps the brain in a state of threat. It is kindness that allows the nervous system to relax and learn new ways of being. Every time you catch yourself falling into an old habit and you choose to be curious instead of angry, you are changing your brain. You are telling that smoke alarm inside you that it can finally take a break. You are moving from a life of reacting to a life of choosing. This shift changes how we see the world. We stop looking for people who recreate our childhood pain and start looking for people who feel like a safe harbor. We stop trying to prove we are enough and start acting like we already are. It isn't a loud or sudden change. It's a series of small, quiet choices made every day. It's the choice to stay, the choice to breathe, and the choice to believe that peace is something we actually deserve. We are not just fixing what was broken. We are growing something entirely new in the space where the pain used to live. As we grow through this process, we eventually reach a stage called integration. This is when the things we have learned in our minds start to live comfortably in our bodies. For a long time, there is a gap between what we know and what we feel. You might know you are safe, but your heart still beats fast. You might know you deserve respect, but you still feel guilty for asking for it. Integration is the slow closing of that gap. It is the moment your body finally believes what your mind has been trying to tell it. Shutterstock. This stage requires us to rethink our definition of a good day. In the past, a good day for Alina might have been a day when a distant man finally called her back. For Evan, it might have been a day when he finished a dozen tasks without stopping to eat. Now, a good day looks different. A good day is one where you notice your stomach tighten and you actually stop to ask yourself why. It is a day where you feel a bit of sadness and you let yourself feel it without trying to fix it or hide it. These small victories are the real signs of progress. They show that you are no longer a servant to your old survival instincts. We also begin to notice a change in our inner voice. Most people who have experienced emotional neglect have a very loud inner critic. This voice is often a copy of the overwhelmed or distant adults from our childhood. It tells us we are being too much or that we are lazy for needing rest. Healing means replacing that critic with a protective inner parent. This new voice doesn't demand perfection. Instead, it offers steady support. When you feel a wave of old fear, this voice says, "I see that you are scared, and that makes sense given what you went through. I am right here with you." This internal shift changes the entire atmosphere of your life. Eventually, this internal safety starts to change your external world. You might find that some people who used to be close to you start to drift away. This can be painful, but it is often because those relationships were built on your old patterns of chasing or overperforming. As you stop playing those roles, the people who only liked the useful or quiet version of you may not know how to relate to the real you. At the same time, you make room for new people who value your boundaries and appreciate your peace. You stop being a magnet for chaos and start being a magnet for stability. The final part of this journey is realizing that you are not just a collection of your past wounds. You are the person who survived them, which means you have a deep, quiet strength that most people never have to find. Your sensitivity, which once felt like a weakness, becomes a gift. Because you know what it feels like to be unseen, you have a unique ability to see others. Because you know what it feels like to be unsafe, you know how to create true sanctuary. You aren't just returning to who you were before the trauma, you are becoming someone wiser and more grounded because of how you have moved through it. When we reach this point in our story, we must talk about what it looks like to live a life that is no longer built on survival. For a long time, your identity was likely shaped by what you lacked. You were the one who was too much, the one who was lonely, or the one who was always busy. But as the old patterns fade, you face a new question. Who am I when I am not in pain? This can feel strange, almost like a blank page. It is common to feel a sense of grief for the years spent in survival mode, but that grief is just a sign that you are finally honoring the child you used to be. The real shift happens when you move from fixing yourself to tending to yourself. Think of a garden that has been neglected for years. You don't fix a garden by yelling at the weeds or by pretending the soil is healthy. You tend to it by giving it water, sunlight, and time. In your life, this looks like choosing things that nourish your nervous system. It might be a quiet morning walk, a hobby you enjoy for no reason other than fun, or the courage to say no to an invitation without giving a long excuse. You are learning that your time and your energy are yours to keep, not just things to be traded for approval. As you practice this, you will notice your window of tolerance beginning to grow. This is the space where you can handle the ups and downs of life without becoming totally overwhelmed or completely numb. In the past, a small disagreement might have sent you into a panic or made you shut down for days. Now, because you have been practicing your somatic pauses and checking in with your body, you find that you can stay present even when things are difficult. You can feel the tension in your chest and stay with it until it passes, rather than letting it drive you into old, destructive habits. This new way of living also changes the way you view other people. You start to see that everyone is carrying their own smoke alarm and their own hidden stories. This doesn't mean you let people hurt you, but it does mean you stop taking their reactions so personally. If someone is distant, you no longer assume it is because you are unlovable. You realize it is likely about their own internal world. This creates a massive sense of freedom. You are no longer a detective trying to solve everyone else's moods. You are simply a person responsible for your own peace. The final transformation is the move from scarcity to abundance. When we grow up with emotional neglect, we live with a starvation mindset. We grab whatever scraps of attention we can find. But as you heal, you realize that true love and connection are not scarce resources you have to fight for. You start to trust that there is enough safety, enough kindness, and enough room for you in the world. You stop settling for crumbs because you finally know what the whole loaf tastes like. You are no longer just surviving your life, you are finally, deeply, and quietly living it.